people are supposed to learn. If, you know, the opposition has been around for way longer than I've been alive, I'm what you call Gen Z. And, if the opposition would have wanted a better Kenya for, the people that were alive during that time and up until now, they would have already done it. So I don't see what will happen when, the opposition is involved in all this. They have not made any change over the past 20 years that I've been alive. Even before even before those years, they have not made any change. So the opposition can go fuck themselves and leave this movement to Gen Z. Because we are people who are goal oriented. We don't care about money. We just want a prosperous country. Moving on. People who are still
Macharia,
relying on. Yes.
Macharia, I have a request. Could you please withdraw the word F off?
Okay. There's no problem. You have
Thank
to,
you.
excuse me. Yeah. So
We,
moving
we,
on.
we, we, we are
Yeah,
presenting
yeah, yeah.
ourselves as leaders who can lead this country. So it has to start with our presentation and how we all that. So thank you for understanding.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, it's about, people still. I don't want to be a bearer of bad news, but stop. People are still relying on God to save us. God could have already saved us from Ruto, from getting into power back in 2022 if he wanted to. So right now, we need to be realistic people. We need to be factual people. If you want to make change will start from us. So people wenye wanauliza mambo sijui Mungu ataituokoa lini, hii mambo ni yako. God does not live in Kenya. You are the one who lives in Kenya. So kazi ni kwako. You see? Yeah. And also, guys, there's just one thing I want to say. This thing about, corruption and, you're not, leaders are not the only corrupt people. Citizens also influence corruption because let's, and also, election of bad leaders. For example, mtu akitaka, let me just, let me criticize the older generations. So mtu, if any person anataka kuwa a leader of today or tomorrow, ashajua akikuja apatie tu hawa tu hapa chini 200, 100, 500 watamvotia. Ask yourself, hiyo 200 nitaikula mara ngapi kwa siku? Ama kwa hiyo miaka 5 watakuwa in power. Ask yourself that. Huyo mtu akiingia hapo amepatiana, let's say akipatiwa tu kama 200, hiyo pesa ni mfuko yake. Hiyo pesa tutaka kuirudisha. Trust me, when that guy gets into office, kitu ya kwanza atafanya si maendeleo, si kuwasaidia. Kitu ya kwanza atafanya ni kurudisha pesa yake. So guys, when we are electing leaders, try to use your mind. Usi-elect leaders based on wealth, because any incompetent fool, any wealthy fool can be a leader just to say because they have money. So yeah, when we are choosing our leaders, take time to listen to the person talking, regardless of their age, gender, tribe, background, all of it. A person's mind is the most wealthiest thing a human being can have. When you have bright ideas, ukiletea watu ideas nzuri, you are looking out for their future. So people, when you're listening to somebody who wants you to put them somewhere in government to represent them, sikiza ideas zake. Hii mambo ya mtu kuambia tion tutatenga, tutawapatia 200, sijui tutafanya nini. No, somebody should have realistic plans, things that make sense to the common mwananchi, kitu itasaidia kila mtu in the eventuality. Say for example, let's say I've been seeing cases of dams that were been commissioned, sijui ni wapi. I've been seeing posts about that in the timeline. Sijui dams were commissioned in 2018, sijui and what. So hiyo pesa ilienda wapi? This thing of kuchagua leaders because akona pesa ama anawapatia 200, watu wanafaa tu kuacha. It's embarrassing. It's a disgrace kwanza to the older generations. Guys, these older people, you need to understand. Ask the young people, we are fighting for our future, the future that you are not able to fight for when you are our age, because Moi hakuruhusu mpigania haki zenyu, lakini sasa hii juzi tunapigania haki zetu. You see the Gen Z as rebels. Kindly stop seeing us as rebels. We are the revolution. We want to change Kenya, to be the best. For example, right now I'm 21 years old. In the next 20, I'll be 41. In the next 20 I'll be retired, in the next 40 I'll be retired, I'll be 61. When I retire, mi nataka kwendanga hosi, nakaa hapo kweli, nagojea dawa, daktari ni mmoja kaunti nzima kweli? Hatuwezi endelea hivyo guys. Hii kitu ya kuchagua watu incompetent people in power tutaacha. And also, as I finish, the information you're getting here is very important. People have ideas, people are wise, people are bright. Mtu ataongea kitu wa maana hapa, usikanyagie hiyo kitu. Take that information you have, spread it to another person, guide another person, waelewe mbona nchi tunataka ibadilishwe ikuwe hivi. People are living on the bare minimum because they don't have any other, hawana information that there is a better, hawana better days. They don't have any information of better days. For example, the police are, I think, among the poorest paid people in Kenya, but saa hao ndio tunasumbua nao kwa streets. Mimi niko hapa kupigania a better living and huko hapo kunipinga. Do you see the sense in that? Yani you are fighting for what's good for you, yani like kids. I don't want to to trust these older generations, but I think most of these people, of you guys who are older than Gen Z, you need to take a step back, rethink your decisions, look at what the younger generations are doing. Don't disrespect or discredit somebody because they are younger than you. Take some time to consider, put yourself in that person's shoes. Consider yourself, if it were you in that situation, what will you do? Sasa tunapigania nchi, si juu ati yangu, juu ati mimi ni Mkikuyu, juu sijui mimi ni Mkamba, juu sijui mimi nimetoka wapi, sijui nimetoka coast, sijui hapana. We are fighting for Kenya because we are all Kenyans. A person in power should not, haifai kukuuma ati juu ni Mkamba. A person in power inafaa kukuuma juu afanyi chenye inafaa kufanywa. If there is competent people in government, trust me, hatutaongea kuhusu mambo ya kuwa sijui hakuna Mkikuyu, hakuna Mkale, hakuna Mmasai. Hatuwezi kuongelea hizo vitu, but ona sahi the incompetence in governance inaletwa mpaka to the people, mpaka wanacheza hizo tribal cards tena. Gachagua huko akilia mambo ya sijui watu wa mlima. Kwani government taxing tu watu wa mlima pekee? That is just a question to you everybody here. The government does not just tax people from the Mount Kenya region. It does not tax people from the coastal region. It tax Kenyans regardless of the tribe you are. Hata kama ni Mkale na preso ni Mkale, bado unataxiwa. So guys, I think people need to use their minds. Critical thinking is something important. Please, na naomba. Yeah, thank you.
Asante sana Masharia. Could we please go to Africa Watch and then Abraham? Dakika tatu.
Hi, Lady Justice.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Now, I'm gonna be quick. The common enemy here is the failures that have been carried out by those who have been in power. And these failures are the ones that we are fighting. These failures are the ones that we need to be corrected. Now, we should also appreciate that some of the people, the older generations that we are referring to, of course, we may not have been there when they were fighting, but I believe that they also contributed so much because from the history that we hear some of the things that used to happen during Moi's time. If we are doing whatever we are doing during Moi, probably none of us would be existing by now. But there are people who did it, and this revolution has been in phases. And we need to appreciate that they have contributed much up to where we are. And therefore, we should not look at them as enemies or dwell on their failures, but we need to strategize by coming together. And I want to emphasize that in all cases, even when we look at some of the successful revolutions across the world, they have always been successful because of the level of organization. And at this particular level, we must agree that without any organization, we are not going to make it to the level that we want to make it. If we stay scattered and we don't have any level of organization, and then at the same time you're saying we don't want politicians, You know, the politicians are getting organized. And when they get organized, they'll move on, and even come next election, we'll be surprised to see the same people because of the level of organization. I want to cite an example of what I saw in the streets. That was on 18th, when we were having the first protests, and even some pictures that have circulated. So now you realize that sometimes when we young people go to the streets, what happens when we see some politicians? There are some politicians who are not in government right now, but they were there before. And probably they even made money through some very funny ways. When they appear, you see young people being excited. And what do they say? Mazee ni wetu, toa kakitu na wanatoa. Then now you ask yourself, do these people, do they really know what we are fighting and what we are trying to fight for? So unless we come to that realization, because we are fighting a culture, we are not just fighting an individual, but we are fighting a culture. One thing that we have to be aware is that suppose even President Ruto resigned today and we are not organized, you might find somebody else taking over who might even be worse than him, because it's about the mentality, the attitude that we have had. You have seen sometimes when young people contest, or when somebody contests for a particular seat and he does not have money, what do people say? We hata hakuna kitu yenye anatoa. Ni wakina nani wanasema hivyo? Ni sisi. Hawa watu wenye wako pale, ni nani aliwachagua? Ni sisi. They never elected themselves. We elected them. It's only that because choices have consequences, we realize that at the end of the day, these people, they were not the right people. So we need to get organized. Because when we identify the problems that are there, just quick, one of the areas that we are saying need to be fixed is education. Already our education system is gone, because this thing called CBC is an animal that nobody understands. Even when you go near the places where the trainings are being done or the workshops of the CBC, even the education officers involved, most of them will tell you they're just doing it because they've been told to do. They don't have faith in it. We did not need CBC. What we needed is to work on our curricula in terms of aligning it to the current needs, just improving on it, but not changing the structures or the name.
Please land Africa Watch.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't want to fall in love in a minute.
Yeah. Just in a minute. So education is one area that we need to get back. Now the issue of debt, we know that we have got an abnormal debt because most of these countries ended up in the go to Kenya, like for example the Eurobond. We are looking at our tax regime to have a friendly tax regime that promotes investments. We are looking at the issue of health, the rule of law. Why do we have many members in government than the opposition in parliament? It is because of the fact that the Political Parties Act was not followed. There are MPs that came in the name of opposition, and all of a sudden they shifted to the side of government. And that's why government has numbers. They can pass anything they want to pass without even the other people contributing. So in general, let us get organized. How do we get organized? Let's try to get some leaders amongst us. Okay, I know people are saying, now we don't want leaders, but at the end of the day, how do you move ahead without having people who are organizing us? Because if we don't organize ourselves, somebody else will come from nowhere and organize us. So can we try to think out how we can be able to get people amongst ourselves to be able to do something that is coordinated, even if it is coming up with a memorandum that maybe we can petition those that are in government. Through that's such a kind of an organization we can push, because I still believe that it is through using the constitutional means that we'll be able to ascend to where we want to ascend to. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Africa Watch. And next, I think, is Abraham Khan and then Masharia. Masharia, you spoke earlier on, didn't you? Abraham, then Masharia. 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Lady Justice. I just want to go straight to what I have in mind. One is that I think there's a generational push to break the status quo that has been there for a while. And I think the reason why there's rejection for even the old school politicians is because people want, and especially the Gen Zs, want things done differently. Right now, if someone can't tell you exactly what they're looking to see about this country in the next 10 years, I think that's what Gen Zs are actually resisting this time round. Number two, I think there's need for us to critically look at some of the things that are happening just to ensure that there's more accountability and justice, and especially in terms of the police executing their duties, and in terms of also us exercising our role as a citizenry, because there's some things that are a bit disheartening when you see that we have goons infiltrating demonstrations and the police are doing nothing. And when we have police brutality and the government is doing nothing, I think that points to a rogue government. And for the hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that points to a critical situation about governance. It means that we have a rogue government in place. And there's need to push that there's more accountability on the side of the police, because I think we need to look at the Police Act, because the Police Act also it says that the police are not supposed to subject citizens to abuse, and none is calling them to account on this. The IPOA has been categorical that they are finding it very difficult to investigate police because they're not getting any information from them. In case a police abuses or abuses their powers, actually they're liable to conviction for felony. So I think we really need to see how we can bring this to police officers to accountability, and to help also heal the nation from police brutality. There's also something that we also need to look at in the Police Act, that gives powers to the president to even request for police assistance from neighboring countries. And I think we've heard of, people whom we don't even know whether they are our police officers, being so brutal. I think we really need to come to look into this and even push for such for amendments that can take away that power from the powers, from that authority, from the powers that be at any point, so that in case we are pushing for justice in any way, then no one will be telling us that we don't know these people. They are not there. We really need to look into that. I think even as I finalize, we also need to look into the budget issues. Even as Gen Zs, again, we need to relook into this again and ask, how much did the government collect last year? What is our budget now? And we need now to scrutinize even the appropriations bill itself, so that we are not wrong-footed, because once we've achieved something, we may go back and relax. And before we realize what's happening, we can be wrong-footed. So some of those who are lawyers in our midst, those who are economists in our midst, accountants, those in different professional spheres, I think it's time that for those who are lawyers, we look through the law, see what law is being abused, what remedy should we have, And do we also need to say activate and make sure that we have county assembly, citizen assemblies legalized in the grassroots, whereby people can come together, voice their issues, even now start petitions, like to IBC, without someone saying that it's not a lawful way of pushing for, say, the president to be impeached, because if Parliament is not playing its role, then how can citizens go ahead and still play their role in pushing for a rogue government to exit, or rogue leadership to exit, and therefore get people who are more accountable in those offices? For now, I think that's it for now, and thank you very much for the time.
Asante sana, Abraham. Let's go to Masharia, please.
Yeah, thank you. Mine was just a few. So I think it's just a point out for Citizen TV. There's this guy called Polo Kemani who has been investigating about the mining industry, which apparently has been making a few people in Kenya billionaires. So kindly Citizen TV, skiza kena kuambia, do an investigation or do a report or something, something small about that, or something you can, so that watu wajue. Mi juzi ndio nilikam kujua, sijaitambua Tharaka Nithi, but apparently Tharaka Nithi has minerals amounting even to 240 million per day. That's not a small figure. So kindly, if you can do something about that, that is national wealth, that is public property, that is public money, that is something that can be used to help the people in general of Kenya. So if you can do something about that, Citizen TV, please, because we are fighting for integrity, accountability, and professionalism. Those are the three major things that are lacking in the Kenyan system. So yeah, thank you.
Asante sana Macharia. We're doing so well with timing. So today we're talking about the pressure point. Is it time for Gen Z and the opposition to unite? Is it time to start looking for allies to help us in the fight for Ruto must go, whichever form Ruto must go is gonna take. So we've been here for the past 10 hours, and I'm super tired. It's 2 o'clock where I am, 2 o'clock in the morning. But I love doing this for my people. So let's keep the conversation going, 3 minutes each. And everybody, don't worry, you'll get a chance to speak. In our spaces, we make sure everybody has spoken. And most importantly, let's remember to follow one another so that we can be able to play that critical role of citizen journalism. Asanteni sana. Next is Reject Finance. And then we will go to Power to the People, I believe. That's the name. Yes, Power to the People. Reject Finance, then Power to the People. Reject Finance Bill 2024. Mogo Owira. Owira, are you there? Looks like Owira isn't there. Power to the People, please go ahead. Mogo Owira is not there. Power to the People has disappeared as well. Power to the People, you're still there. Could you please speak? If not, I'm gonna drop you down. In the meantime, Lola, please go ahead. Lola and Angela? Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Lola, I can barely hear you. Could you please just drop and then come back? I will give you the microphone. In the meantime, could we have Engineer Okuna?
Thanks a lot, Lady Justice and Hillary, for this opportunity. I'm really against the issue of opposition and Gen Z unity. Actually, opposition has never had any ideology to transform this country. The opposition's ideology has been to take power. And even if you look at the policies that they have, is no much difference than what these guys have. And I can assure you that oppositions, once they get power through backdoor or any other means, they will glorify such oppressive government. And we can see that one, what happened in 2018 when finance bill was actually the problem that started in this country. We've had many problems, but 2018 handshake is where the oppressive government was glorified, where the finance bill was passed ceremoniously without even knowing that this finance bill, what will be the effect. And if you look at that finance bill, it made even Kenya to raise the limit of the loan they can take to almost 15 trillion. But you ask yourself, what have they done? What have they done with the money they borrowed? So, if to me, I'm a millennium, just early 30, I'm really against anything. I don't know what Gen Z says because they are still younger than me. But me, born in 1990s, I can categorically say that there's nothing that Gen Zs will share with opposition. And even today, if you look at the opposition, they don't know where they are going. They are at crossroads. They don't know whether they go through the AUK. They don't know whether they join Ruto and get some CS. They don't know whether they support President Uhuru Kenyatta and what he's doing. I don't know. Or they are not. They don't know whether they go through Gen Z. But to me, there is nothing that we will achieve with Gen Z uniting with opposition. There is nothing absolutely. Going forward, I think we should not elect people based on the amount of handouts him or she can give out. That is the biggest challenge that we've had. We find out that during elections, and it is us, Gen Zs and millennials, no one else. When you go to the rallies, those who always make politicians contribute money are Gen Zs, because when you don't do that, they'll be all over. Now, once you have made a politician to give you 100 shillings or 200, you have already sold your ticket. You have already sold your policies. You have already sold your vote. So this guy will only be trying to come back to the village each and every time to supplement the 200 or the 100 shillings he gave you. So there are no policies at all. I looked at yesterday a women rep buying mkokoteni and giving to someone to supply water, ama to go buy water and supply. In this current world, me, from the perspective of engineering, and I've done water for some years, many years, I'm a solar engineer, that with the solar in this country, with the technology that we have in pumping and motors, we can still go ahead as leaders to buy mkokoteni, telling you that we don't value what we have, we don't value the technology, we don't have any policy, we cannot come up with a bill that
It looks like we lost you there. Go
as
ahead.
leaders.
Yeah.
What we can do as leaders is simply buying cocotenis and supplying. When we do such a thing, the problems in this country will never end. And actually, I'm just calling one or two people. I have a petition to Senate called a World Water Fund. World Water Fund, it takes a shape like the last mile electricity. We want to go and amend the water section, the Water Act we have of 2016, so that we have very many agencies for water, very many doing absolutely nothing, but they are consuming millions and billions of Kenya shillings. We need to have all these agencies merged together so that we have just one body called the World Water Fund. And this World Water Fund should have all the offices in the 290 constituencies so that their work is to ensure that we have a last mile water connection to our people, not giving cocotenis to go and fetch water and sell, but to ensure that water can be drilled, or we can have water dams or water pumps. Then we can have pumps that install in those water pumps, and then we have our last mile connections to each and individual person in his home, so that in the next 10 or 15 years, every Kenyan should have water in his home as a result of this petition. So I'm really against the opposition. Opposition is made up of very old people who have no idea, who have no basic knowledge of what is happening today. Even a simple technology that is required to assist you and me, they don't know. So therefore means you as a young person who should now come up with policies and even solutions, you want to seek the support of someone who doesn't know anything to do with solution, then you will always end up nowhere at all. So to me, as Gen Z said, we are moving on. Let us move on and ensure that both Gachagua and Ruto, both of them, go home. There's no one to be spared. There's no one to be spared. Gachagua has a lot of graft cases. Ruto now is the mastermind of all the graft cases around. The CS he appointed have a number of graft cases around. Even though, if you look at the constitution, I've really been in the courts as one of the guys who drafted the presidential petitions in 2022. If we look at the Ruto's appointments of CS, that one actually there's no case to be answered. I even saw some lawyers, they are going to the court. There's no case. The Constitution of Kenya says that you can be dismissed after you've been given a fair hearing. So what Ruto said in the State House are those political statements that can never be used in any court of law. So the appointment in the Constitution, Ruto can appoint anyone 100 times if he wishes so, and there's only can make somebody not to be reappointed again is the court or the parliament. So if the parliament have made a decision and they have passed a vote of no confidence that this person is not fit to serve in any office, then that person cannot be appointed anywhere. But what Trudeau did the other time is within the legal framework. What I know the parliament can only do is to ensure that those with the graft cases are not allowed to be to assume office. Otherwise, thank you a lot, Hillary, for this opportunity. I'll always be hearing what you guys have, even though I'm on site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Okuna. Lola, and then Penya Wacho, please.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, loud and clear, way better.
Awesome, thank you. I've been waiting for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Lady Justice. Such discourse should continue and we should not stop. I just thank the new, I'm happy for the new technology that and the new generation that we are living in, whereby we have access to such platforms, because this is what is going to bring about a lot of the changes that we are seeing, just having all these voices consolidated in one place. So firstly, let me just say, I've just been noticing a few, sentiments here and there of people trying to kind of put down what the Gen Z have done so far, making these young people feel like they have not done as much. Let me just clarify at first. Gen Z's goal was to make sure that the finance bill was rejected, which they did, and they did it so well. And then afterwards, a lot of many other things were unearthed. And I feel it will be a bit unfair if we keep on bringing up Gen Z here and there, because literally they passed the baton to Kenyans. They were like, yes, we started this, we've done it, we've showed you we can do it. It's now that this baton should be passed to Kenyans, and we should stop relying on Gen Z. These are our young people dying every day on the streets. And it's no longer Gen Z, it's now Kenyans. Even the way the media is branding this latest protest should not all be about Gen Z. They started it and we loved it. And the last 1 month has been exhilarating. I've participated in some of those demonstrations. And I can tell you, for the first time I slept and I was like, my God, I'm on the right side of history. Like my Gen Z brother always tells me, I'm a millennial. He literally dragged me out of the house and was like, you are on the wrong side of history. What are you doing in the house? Because as a millennial, I grew up during the Moi era. We were scared out of our pants to ever even speak his name in our household. And now I'm here in a space whereby, you know, I have a brother, Gen Z brother, who looks at me in the eye and tells me, look here, you have to be on the right side of history. You know, these are the issues and this is what we are going after. And they are very clear. They are very clear, unlike the demonstrations we've been seeing all these other times, you know, being branded opposition demonstrations, which would usually end in handshakes and other agreements that we were unsure of, but we were just going with it so that, you know, we can have peace. I don't know what peace we were looking for at that time, but we were like, oh, finally, no demonstrations. But for the first time, we have agenda-based demonstrations and protests. So it's no longer a Gen Z thing. They are part of us. They're our children, they're our brothers, they're all that. So I want to commend Gen Z. I want to say the last 1 month, let nobody make you feel like you have done nothing. You guys have done something that even the so-called opposition that has been running for a very long time, led by one very prominent Raila Odinga, has not done this. They were shocked. They were shook. They are still shook. And the main point of some of these protests necessarily is never really to achieve a particular goal, like the way we are driving agendas towards, oh, so-and-so has to be out of this, so-and-so has to be. No, because by the end of the day, by the time one agenda was done, which was reject the finance bill, we realized that there were so many other things that we started to unearth, and it's becoming overwhelming. It's becoming quite overwhelming, and we have to deal now with one issue after the other. So one issue after the other, and you know, it can be overwhelming for all of us. You're waking up today, you're hearing about mining. Already we are dealing with corruption. Our schools are the system is disintegrating. We don't know even whether the kind of education our children are having is any quality. You know, we used to have very standard education in Kenya. It was recognized internationally. Right now, we even don't know where we are headed. Our healthcare system is in a mess. Like, it is a lot. So we don't have to put all these onto this one group of people. And we also have to agree that it doesn't have to happen today. We have to do this systematically, also remembering that as much as we are doing the good work on the ground, even the systems in place have not been set. They're still the old systems, have not been set in place to make sure that they can sustain some of the changes we are recommending. Yeah, so it's not a today thing. I saw someone, a clip going around, a young person saying, you know, this is a revolution, and a revolution does not happen in more than 1 week. It has to happen in 1 week. Like, literally, they were putting pressure on the protesters currently to do something in 1 week, which is an agenda that it is there, it is ongoing. Yes, we want the current presidency to sit down and look at what it's doing, and even if possibly the better for us, step down. But aside that pressure that we are putting on us, which is such a big pressure for Kenya, we've never done this before. Other countries have done it, and we've seen how they did it. But we are still on that route. A revolution can also take years. It can also take months. And we have to also accept that. It doesn't need to be today. It does not need to be today. So, secondly, we also need to realize that the society has changed a lot. Part of what really pushed a lot of us to the streets is just the arrogance. How we just go to the polls. We give these people power to represent us. But even the outcome of it, just for them wanting to be on those seats, misappropriate funds, and show us the kind of lifestyles they're living through our money, and then arrogantly just come back and spit on us. the arrogance, oh my God, because I have been alive enough to see 4 presidencies. Yeah, from Moi era and all that. And I can tell you, there is no presidency, there is no leadership
because
that
it is
has
necessary
a bunch of arrogant people like this current
Every
one.
moment we saw him,
You know, you can eat.
we got to see a
Please
smile
just
on his
eat.
face, a smile that we never
Silently.
witnessed
But
leading,
now this is loud
a smile
eating.
that we'll
People are
remember him
literally
by
smacking on
forever.
our faces. Mutadu. And the kind of anger
His
that is in
presence
us,
was
it is
comforting.
boiling. And I really commend this kind of organization that is going on, the protests that are going on, because that kind of anger can drive us to do things that we do not want to do. But the kind of self-control that we've had so far is something that I need to also applaud. People have really controlled themselves, because that anger can burn a country down. And you know, we are not only angry down here, even up there, you know, the leadership is angry because in Kenya, any transition, any leadership transition, you know, after elections, it's always they've already organized themselves. This is how we're gonna eat. This is our section. This is our time. And this kind of this leadership currently is like, oh my God, what is happening? The awakening is shaking them, because now they don't know where to start. They're like, oh my God, what is happening? We are not gonna eat. It's our turn, but it looks like we are not gonna eat. And it's true. Right now, someone tries to put that spoon in their mouth, we hit it. Let that food spill, but you're not continuing to eat our food. We're not letting you continue to do that. So I want every Kenyan to sleep and wake up knowing that we are doing something. And I want us to remember, Gen Zs have passed the baton. Yes, they're with us, but it's no longer about them. It is no longer about them. It's all of us who are in the streets right now. It's no longer a generation thing. It is all of us in the streets. Let me also mention a few other things that I'm noting here and there in this protesting, movement. There is no humanity in our leadership. There is no humanity in our leadership, and our children are dying each and every day. There is a lot of propaganda going on. We are unsure. We also have to accept that our mental health are being affected each and every day. I can literally say yesterday I did not sleep. What has been happening in Zimmerman? And we are not sure. We will never be sure, because things that happen in the dark, things that happen in the dark sometimes are never clear during the day. You know, we are never what happened in Githurai. We will never be sure. You know, and we are noticing a trend whereby we are all in the streets during the day, but certain areas are targeted to be hit. And I'm talking about the slum areas, which is quite ironical, because this government came into power with the promise of the hustler nation. But you're going back to kick the same hustler nation. I don't know why there are no other areas always being hit once we protest. It's certain particular areas that are zoned in, and their focus, it's like blood has to be poured. It's like someone's anger has to be appeased through blood pouring. I don't know whether you guys are noticing that trend.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah. So Lady Justice, I'm really happy for the platform, and let's continue this particular discourse. So let me just leave it at that. But so far, so good. Thank you so much.
Asante sana for the contribution. Pinyo Wacho disappeared. Looks like Pinyo Wacho has gone to work. Let's go to Sudi Musa, please. 3 minutes. Sudi Musa, are you there? Unmute your microphone, please. Looks like Sudi Musa is not there. James the RN.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be given this opportunity to speak. Let me first say that the topic is good, but there are some things you have to understand and highlight first. I'm a millennial too. I've listened to Lola. I'm a millennial too. So also me, I had an opportunity to undergo the transition of all those presidencies that have been governing this country of ours. Let me say first that since when I came to understand politics, we have never been having any opposition at any given time. Kenya has been governed for so long without opposition, because most of the people that we termed as opposition, in real sense, they are not opposition. There are people who really take advantage of the position that we put them, and they always work. in conniving with the government of the day to loot from us and to sustain their political agenda, their political class. But having said that, I do not discourage or despise anyone who would like to join Gen Zs and the millennium, as long as you are a Kenyan who is fighting bad governance, who is fighting corruption, and all sort of things, bad things that have been happening in this country of ours. And regardless of your age, and you are buying the idea of having a good country, you are welcomed as an individual, but not as a party. Because right now, as Gen Z started, right now we don't want to have to be associated with any political party or any political affiliation, because we have seen after the first gains that we have already gained, we have seen the opposition trying to go in bed with the government to negotiate some positions, of which I'm sure even I think is next week, if I'm not wrong. Some of the ministers are going to be announced by the president, and those ministers are coming from the side of opposition. And that's where you find that even opposition has now started to split itself. It's like it's now fighting among themselves. Because yesterday I found a whatever party giving its own statement that is contrary to ODM. So it means that they are fighting among themselves because of maybe the slots that have been awarded by the president. So you find that Wiper has not gotten some, or ODM has taken all of them. That way you find that they have differences. What does that show? It shows clearly that these people are not fighting for us; they are fighting for themselves. For instance, I may wonder why do President dismiss someone like Aisha Juma as a minister from Coast Region, and at the same time he fronts Joe. What's the difference between Aisha Juma and Joe? This is just a sometimes that I wonder what type of a country we are living in. So for me, I may say the idea is good. Gen Z can partner with anyone who is a Kenyan, but not opposition. Having said that, it's like Gen Z can partner with Kalonzo, but not as a Wiper leader. Gen Z can partner with Laila as an individual, but not as an ODM. So that's my idea, and that I think is the best way we can accommodate each and everybody as individuals. Okay, and when we accommodate, you know that you come and give your policies to our movement. You come and understand what we are fighting to, and we walk as per our talk. You walk as per our steps, not you come with your own ideas. Okay, not like having said that, not that we close and we limit people from giving new ideas. You can come with a good idea, but the idea that's as per our agenda. Another thing that is worrying me much is that it's clear that we don't have a country up to now. We have a country in terms of landmass, but we don't have a country in terms of a system and governance. People have lost their morality. Because clearly speaking, there's a video I've seen today in X of what happened yesterday at Zimmerman. I don't know, I'm not sure how factual that is, because if it is factual, if that video is the true video of what happened yesterday in Zimmerman, clearly I can say, yeah, my heart is broken. We don't have a country. We don't have people who have the heart of humanity. How comes police can walk directly towards a crowd and start shooting as the people are crying, please open for us, these people want to finish us, please open the door, these people want to finish us, please open the gate. And police are walking, you are seeing police in uniform walking and opening fire, cocking their rifles and firing towards the people. And yet you tell me that you are living in a country where we have good governance. Yeah. Yesterday I found people with plain clothes, with numberless cars, with rifles. Even I saw white people covered themselves. Even only their upper limbs are the ones that show that these people are the white people. Yeah, with rifles. Yeah, others with the Subarus that are numberless. And yet you tell me that you are in a country where you have good governance. Yeah, people are dying each other every day. Humanity has gone. Yeah. How comes a police who is being paid with Kenyan money, wearing a uniform, yeah, that's being paid by Kenyan tax, that rifle that he is using is out of Kenyan tax, you go and open fire towards harmless people who are just petitioning the government for good life, yeah. And let you tell me, guys, we just sit down and relax and say that things are normal, things are okay, no more demonstration. Let's go and work, business, G association. Well,
Please land, James.
Yes. So what I'm saying is this: kindly guys, you have to understand that we don't have a country. Right now we are monsters in the name of our leadership, and we have to fight by all means, by our word of mouth, by our everything that you think you can have to change this country, and know that we are not at the right position as a country. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, asante sana, James. So, Pinyo Wacho, and then we can go to Maura.
Thank you, Lady Justice. I don't know if I'm audible enough.
Yes, very audible. Thank you.
Sorry, I had network challenges. I had to change to another network. I've heard our brother James, and I just want to start from where he has just finished. Let us be honest. I think we are not annoyed enough. The issues of police using our taxpayers, everything, those people know everything about all those facts. Yes, the police are using our taxpayers. The president is there, courtesy of our tax money. Everything that the president is doing with our money. Now, and he will frustrate you with your money. Now, there is the issue of whether you like it or not, because he has proved it that he can do it whenever he wants to do it. Now, what is our next recourse? I think there's a gentleman called, is it Maura Rob, who talked about that it is time we need to start going through the constitutional means. I listened to somebody who was talking about the removal of the president. And let us be honest, that we might not be able to achieve that threshold. If you look at Article 144, Article 145, I'm not an advocate, but just brief reading into the threshold for you to act, it's a long process. And again, after you've impeached the president, Article 146 still comes in. And it tells you that in case of a vacancy of that office, the deputy president shall assume office as the president for the remainder of the term for the president. Unless where the deputy president is unable to assume office is when we can get into the issues of the speaker taking charge for around 60 days, an election being done, and the powers that the speaker can have and what he doesn't have, and things like that. But right now, we are on the issue that we have challenges, and our challenges are ranging on unemployment, corruption, and all that. As a team, we must come up with a procedure or a document that clearly define the issue and the proposed solution. And that is what the president has actually thrown back to us. He is saying that you people, you are not giving an alternative idea. Yeah, you are saying that the system is not working. He is telling you, you are not giving me an alternative. Number one, we have the alternatives that we are giving. Let's bring the issue of, let's bring up the issue of, let's talk about the issue of cost of living. And the government, when you talk about austerity measures, we have just seen that after removing the budget that was allocated on the First Lady's budget, the budget of the Office of the President went up. If you look at the appropriation bill, which was actually signed. So ameitoa tu pale ya kwamba si ya First Lady, but ameweka pale kwa ofisi yake. So can we first of all come up with a document that clearly defines the issue and the proposed solution? If we cannot do that, we are still wasting time. We will be on the roads and we will not solve any of our problems. Yes, we will say we want this, we want this, we want this. We are not giving a proposed solution for the problem at hand. Number two, when you're talking about the issue of corruption, this one is a story, but are we giving tangible proposed solutions that can be worked on? The government just recently, that is the president, he talked about reducing the cost and reducing the expenditure in government by merging parastatals. It is true, we have parastatals that are wasting time. That is a fact. We have parastatals that, even if you ask me, if you ask them what they do for the whole year, there is one parastatal called a privatization commission. If there are no organization to be privatized, that organization will just eat money and life continues. So that's why I think that we really need to bring up to the president. We have NCA. I am sorry for the engineers who are here. What is NCA doing apart from registering contractors and marking buildings X? Actually, some of the buildings that are fallen, the NCA approved for them to be constructed. So those are the organizations that I'll ask myself, do we really need them? Let's get to our Department of Roads. How many parastatals are under roads? 3 parastatals. Actually, add Kenya Roads Board, we'll make it 4. Do we really need 4 parastatals to manage our roads? Kenha, Kura, Kera, and Kenya Roads Board. Kenya Roads Board, its work is just to disperse money to the 3 other parastatals. So is that the only work that they are doing for the whole year? We really need to ask ourselves some of these things and tell the president or the powers that be that, yes, yeah, we cannot remove the president at this moment, but let us work on the things that can be done through simple policy matters. And even us as members of the public, isn't it time we need to tell the government that we have so many counties that we really need to reduce them? I think Githurai presented this in his presentation at NADCO, that we are overrepresented. These people who are staying in parliament, and I've said this in another forum, how comes they don't have a term limit? That is why they form a structure where any other person cannot come in. Can we have that term limit and age limit? You cannot be in parliament for the next